Now, the high cost of living has forced many Kayaye to self-medicate or prescribe medications for their children. Kayayo Bintu, 28, says because she cannot afford to visit the hospital, she buys adult antibiotics, splits them in halves, and gives them to her son whenever he has diarrhea. She told Jojo Kobina that she wants to send her son to her relatives in Savaligu, but she doesn't have the money to start the journey.
Ubekasa 6 million, 6 million there, ubetimato there, dada will
28-year-old Bintu is a head porter. She's taking a brief break from work to care for her 1 year and 6 month-old son, who is suffering from diarrhea. Bintu says she intends to take her son to the village to be cared for by relatives. She intended to travel to Savlugu in February 2022. But transportation is a problem due to high fuel cost.
Shami kurum, ukita 3 million, won't even draw kurum. This are ukita sika, and can be ban by coffee, but scanning ho.
However, there's a larger issue at hand.
Me ban 1 year, 6 months. So I need to mean you are anyway. But scanning here, na me got tablets named Benuno. Scanning ho.
A doorway wind there.
I am a bad idea.
Never know Ubano.
Only something beautiful. Oh, didn't call special best dinner. Lorry, hey, look at that 5 million crampo now. Some woman who made me a kayayo, or maybe charging me cigar, say, minting this amicosra.
She divides the amoxicillin capsules and gives half to her child. This isn't the first time she's doing something like this.
What him say? A drawway in Penifone, say no.
A minim pa.
What him say?
Minim.
When I catch you.
So me kita drone me say almost go 25 15 going, but sikani ni hunting na me kita no me be chi me mano no me bia na ma fie kitwa bia go na ma di mano.
Antibiotics are supposed to be prescribed medication, but she got it off the counter. Also, capsules should not be split in half.
So certain drugs have harsh content. Their contents are quite harsh to the stomach lining or the GI lining. So then they are formulated in the form of capsules that the capsule are done in such a way that they then protect the drug from harming the patient's GI tract or their stomach lining before it's being broken down and then absorbed into the body and a whole lot. So it's actually not an ideal procedure for people to open capsules and pour the content into water to drink. Depending on the solution used to mix the drug for the patient, and when a child takes it, it could lead to like severe abdominal cramps. And also sometimes if the content is so harsh, it could even affect their mouth, it sores their mouth and stuff like that. Yes.
Again, the medication is prescribed based on the weight of children, but due to poverty, Bintu throws caution to the wind.
I had to tambale 1.6. We see tambale by Ube come 150. Uber so Uber top bread who in fear now who kitwa we were jauba fear we bet my quasa. Now to bibi biscuit crack or mano. Won't mean yes, sir. This I would to be aqua dadano. The ben belco dear. Minis can bear than alcohol. But Sanya breast go with the bema almost one niska. No pesa on your swan, no I jalo, but no I swan did. Until I could tell 2 city point now, Cassa or Swassa or Beswa, also paid the idea.
Many of her friends here are in the same situation. They want to take a break and return home to work on their farms before returning to Accra to carry goods for a living.
Sakina, it's the same.
Sakina is in a food business. She stopped carrying goods for a living. The food business had been struggling recently due to rising grocery prices.
Niama bia ne boy din sisi anwa hwewe ukotowe esire Anwa aba nyama ne boy de. Ye pen pa cho se on to sin nyama. E sa ento me ko yekuro. Anwa ne kasie ne 15 cedi. Na we 8 cedi. Ko first na we 3 cedi. We 3 cedi. Na ba ko na 2 cedi.
She yearns to visit home and spend time with her family, but she has not saved enough money.
Ye pen pa cho on yesene nyama ne nya enkofo. Lord fe na enkofo. Ekofo ndi na bibia ko yetima anya sika na ebe ko nukuru.
Amina worked here as a head porter before retiring. She's now been caring for children of Kayaye for several years, so they can have peace of mind to work and eke out a living. She charges them 2 cedis per day, which includes food. She, however, wants them to pay 4 cedis per day, but her clients say they cannot pay, so she gets almost nothing caring for the children. Nana Poku works at the Great Imperial Bus Station at Agbogloshi. The bus terminal was sited there for strategic reasons. But for the past 3 months, business to the north has been slow because of rising fuel costs.
For now, on a good day, a maximum of 5 on a good day. But previously, we used to do 7, 8, or maybe 9 in a day. Yeah, but for some reasons now they are not traveling in their numbers. The increment in the fare is a major reason. So once they get here, they ask of the price and then they just go back. After telling them the prices, and then they just tell you I'll be back, but they won't be back. So to avoid buying more fuel, wasting money on fuel, we combine all of them into one bus, and then we drop them at their destinations, various destinations. But on a good day, that bus will just be only one destination. Yeah, but for today, only I think four destinations.
Workers from Ghana's northern regions in Ghana, here in this community, are pleading with government to address economic challenges so they can return home frequently. Jojo Kopner, Joy News.
Now, joining us for more on this is the president of the Coalition of NGOs in Health, Brett Emisa. Thanks for your time, sir. Now, how huge is this problem of lack of access to health care due to poverty? Hello, sir. I'm sure you'd have to unmute so we can hear what you're telling us. I'm trying to find out from you, how huge is the problem of lack of access to health care because of poverty?
Thank you very much. Can you hear me now? Is it better now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So we want to find out from you, how huge is the problem of cost of access to health care due to poverty?
Thank you, and then good morning to your cherished viewers and listeners. This is a very huge problem in Ghana at the moment as we find ourselves in a very critical economic situation. You agree with me, the economy is run on the trade that people do, what they sell, what they buy, and then how they are able to manage things with their families. But what do we see ourselves today? I mean, there's a huge cost of burden on items. Everything that we want to buy or sell comes with an additional cost. There's a serious increase in prices of goods and services. And this is really affecting health services. And so we see from where we sit as a civil society umbrella organization, Ghana Coalition of NGOs, that there's high dependence on local herbs. These marginalized and vulnerable people in society are depending so much on local herbs because they cannot visit the facilities. They are sharing drugs that are or medicines that are prescribed for their colleagues and have not been able to use all of them, and with the assumption that they are the similar or conditions or they share similar symptoms with them. And they are also abusing drugs. They buy from anywhere, sometimes not even the prescribed over-the-counter sellers, but any shop that they come across, they want to buy what is there, they see as drug. They are doing self-treatment. They are not going for testing and treatment. They are resorting to prayer camps. Now people are just entering prayer camps for healing and all those things. And then because of also the high cost of transportation, they are not even able to board vehicles to the nearest health facilities to access things. And most of them too are not even having the health insurance. So it's a huge challenge on society as we speak.
These people are KIAs, and of course we understand that they should be earning something from what they do. But do we know the underlying factor or factors that are contributing to where they are today in terms of not even being able to afford the cost of healthcare?
Yes, it's largely due to hardship or due to the economic situation we find ourselves today. You know, these KIAs always carry their tray or their pan and then go around the communities and then are hanging around the lorry stations to carry for one person or the other, and so the person could also pay them. But what do we see today? People who are well-to-do either hire the vehicle closer to the shop and park their things in and move, or those ones who cannot hire the vehicle attempt to walk along with their younger children or siblings to carry them accompaniment to wherever they are moving. So there's very little for them to do at the moment. And also now, if people bargain with them and they are not able to meet their demand, then they are tempted to carry them by themselves. Largely, a lot of people are not buying at all. So they are not able to buy in that larger quantities that will help them to hire the service of a KIA. So they will buy the small quantity that they will need just for the day or two, and in that capacity they will be able to carry them by themselves and walk along with it. So there's no much job for these people who depend on the other working class that provide them services and pay them, and hence resulting to that difficulties that we find ourselves doing.
But what does this say about social services in relation to the living conditions of these KIAs?
So it's incumbent on government to have found some social activities. For instance, people who were put on the leave and then the other social services, are we able to track whether they are even receiving some reward for the services that they have already enrolled them for? And is the government rolling out any further interventions to address these hardships in the society, especially for these marginalized and vulnerable people in society? We are just talking about the KIA. We have children who have dropped out of schools. We have pregnant teenage mothers. We have persons living with disabilities. We have women in general, and then the age group. They all fall within this category of vulnerability or vulnerable group of people. But we have even just sampled out the KIA, which we see to be more critical. If you go to the communities and then the households, you see that the challenge is more escalating than we see now, because they are not within the working group where we can find them on the streets, but they are sitting in their homes and in the communities and are very poor. And some of them are very sick, and it is very critical we look at what we can do moving forward to address some of these challenges.
The National Health Insurance Scheme was brought to help people in these circumstances. How has it been of help to them, and what else can we do to help, alleviate the challenges that these people go through?
Yes, so the insurance is covering a number of people who are described as indigent, and we might be tempted to say it is covering everybody, but no, there is still a huge number of people who are there and doesn't fall under the indigent class, or they fall under it but are not enrolled. So what do we need to do? If you are holding the insurance card, that is not all. Accessing health services is not just the insurance card. It depends on accessibility of the facility to you. And people would have to board vehicles when they are very weak. When you are sick, you are weak naturally. So it is not something that you have control over your own self in walking distances to access the facility. So they will still need some amount of support in terms of funds to be able to carry themselves to the facilities that they will use the insurance card. They need some money to eat. They need to eat good food to get the energy that will carry them on. They need the support of community and then their caregivers or friends. And all this comes as a result of funds. So the critical situation here is that they don't have that money to even board a taxi to the nearest health facility and use their insurance card if they have to access the services. So it's just gone beyond the insurance card, and we have to look at how we can actually support them nutritionally and then financially to be able to carry their services and access health as well in general.
Interesting. If government is asking you for a proposal, what would be your proposal? Outside of all that you've said, what would be that one proposal from you that can help us deal with this?
So I only want to, before I send in our proposal, I only want to caution government that there is a likelihood of an increased IPD cases in the near future. A lot of people who are not able to access OPD services today will be burdened with the disease, and it will still stay with them until it gets critical and then they are admitted. And then there would also be high mortality and morbidity moving forward. And then we should anticipate that if we are not able to do anything to come to their age, then there's also going to be increased hypertension in society. Everything resulting as in the form of hardship could render a lot of people's BP moving and high, and the possibility of mental health challenges in our society. We find a lot of people walking by the street and talking. We call them and they cannot hear, and we think, oh, they are well dressed, so they are okay. They are not okay. So we would propose moving forward that now that we are finding ourselves in this critical situation, there should be increased community education and sensitization of preventive health. People should be spoken to.
Unfortunately, I think we've lost him there. You're still watching the Joy News desk. Okay, so I think that the line is okay. Yeah, we lost you a little. You were talking about you thinking that there has to be education, for them to understand what's happening.
Community education on preventive health. And then they should also increase education on wellness clinics. I mean, people can easily, I know government through the Ghana Health Service has introduced a wellness clinic in many of their health facilities. It is a walk-in checkup video application to link people to that so they could do their basic health checkups to know what is happening to them before they look at what they want to do. But largely, government is supposed to roll out a survival plan or package for these group of indigents and the vulnerable people in society, the KIAs, persons living with disabilities, children, women, the aged, and those class of people are what we call vulnerable in society. And then we have a huge data which we can access to look at the group that we want to help. We can start with the KIAs as we are talking about their situation today. They should have a survival package so that we know that for whatever situation, if they can even feed, they can be provided with a meal a day, and then some incentives, some support, financial support, to help them to at least move on and week by week in the market. And I think that will really help us in this situation until we are able to, economy and get out of the situation that we are in.
Would you also agree to proposals that, in addition to the education that we are offering them, we should move along with, basic health, healthcare services, such that we don't need to have them leave their zones or wherever they are to come to the health centers. Would you agree to such a proposal? Move the health centers to them.
That is great. It's one of the first things we can even do, aside the other proposals that we are making. We know where these groupings are, and then the facility is now supposed to move closer to them. So if we take, for instance, in Accra, if we look at Tama Station, if we look at where they sleep in the evenings and other things, we can do mobile clinics for them. So we move the services to them, and it's free. So we challenge them through education, and then tell them, come, we'll do the normal PP checks, the normal, what do we call it, temperature and then other things on them. And then we know what is actually happening to them. We provide them with that OP services, and then begin to heal them out of their sicknesses and provide them some counseling as well. So whilst we move with the mobile team, we move along with them and some counselors, psychiatric counselors and then psychologists who can provide them enough counseling to also help them support them to be assessing other wellness facilities and how they can work as well.
Thank you very much, sir. That's Britt Emisa. He is president of the Coalition of NGOs in Health. Moving on to other stories. Domestic cooking is suffering a hit due to the increment in liquefied petroleum gas prices. Gas filling stations are changing their operations from scales to pumps as many Ghanaians struggle to afford the cost of refilling their cylinders. The JoyNews' Living Standards team was in town with Mami A.C. Thompson. There's more in this report.
Almost 1.8.
It has really affected everybody. Actually, all of us know about the economy, as the economy is going. Tomorrow you go, everything has changed.
Scale no there, face price 30, 40, 40. Until you move, maybe at 10 and 15. Until you buy an aboa, any big account, a boy.
Two weeks ago, Deborah, a resident of Alajo, visited the gas station to buy 90 cedis worth of gas. Filling a 14.5 kg gas cylinder would cost her 180 cedis. But she could only afford half of that. The LPG has run out and she's here again.
If I want my cylinder full, I have to pay 180 cedis. Even the smallest size is going for about 80 cedis. But it didn't used to be so. It isn't easy at all.
This time, Deborah can only afford 50 cedis out of 180 cedis needed to fill her cylinder fully.
I would have wished to fill it fully, but I don't have enough money. The one we used at work cost us 250 cedis, and that even lasts a week. If I don't have money, I will opt for charcoal.
For her and others who have come to refill their cylinders, the price of LPG has become unbearably expensive and erratic. In the last month, the price of LPG has increased at least 3 times. Selvarius Akentuna, a supervisor at Trinity Gas, is frustrated.
Like 14 kilos, someone will come and buy 50 cedis into a 14.5 container or cylinder. I mean, how? It's because of the price increase. The price is not stable. For instance, I think last month, the 14.5 was around, I think 148 or so. Recently, it has gone to 152.
As of October last year, you could refill your cylinder for about 7 cedis 91 pesos per kilo. This means a 14.5 kg cylinder was costing a little over 114 Ghana cedis to fill. However, in March this year, the per kilo price of LPG saw a more than 23% rise. Further price fluctuations last month has worsened the situation. Pump attendant Maxwell explains why operations changed from the scale system to the pump system.
Scale no there. First price 30, 40, 40. Until we move, maybe 10 cedis and 15. And to bother we near 40, 30, 30.
When we are operating the scale system, the prices were fixed. If it was 30, then 30. It could not be adjusted. But we had to adopt the pump system so those who cannot afford the increment can also buy.
Handed. And if you got to it, and you buy an abois. Any big a boy.
Sharing the cost of buying the commodity is a smart survival mode for the likes of Prince, a student at the Ghana Technology University. He splits the cost with his roommate.
I'm here to fill my gas cylinder, yeah. It got run out some 3 days ago, yeah. So I'm here to fill it. Yeah.
The last time it was filled, when was it?
Yeah, so I'm currently with a roommate. He filled it at 40 cedis barely 3 months ago. Yeah, so I'm here to fill it, and I couldn't even fill it at 50 cedis because it actually takes probably 74 cedis to fill it. So yes.
It is increasingly becoming difficult for breadwinners to buy for dependents. Derek is supposed to squeeze almost 200 cedis out of his income every month to fill 2 7 kg cylinders for his dear mother.
I spent about 148 or so for the two. Basically, they told me one is for 74, so the two is 148. Yeah. Actually, that was last 2 weeks. I think it was 50 cedis or so. And today, as I came, they said one is for 74. It has really affected everybody. All of us know about the economy, as the economy is going. Tomorrow you go, everything has changed. So actually, it's really dipping into our pockets, yes, which is really affecting us.
Supervisor Silvarius Akentuna says the price instability is threatening the business and employment of workers.
If the customers are not coming, where is the good for us? There's no goodness in it.
Until there is an intervention from government on the price of gas, Deborah, Sammy, Prince, Derek may have to turn to charcoal, which could go against the government's goal of protecting the environment.
Now, the impact of COVID-19 plus the recent inflation hikes have caused public sector workers to demand for an increase in their base salary. This year, government promised a 7% increment in the base pay of public sector workers. Isaac Ofieje is with our research desk, has been digging extensively into this and joins me in studio with some data on this. Kofi, walk us through the trend per what you've seen.
Right, so first, that's what you have there. So the last time that, public sector workers had their salaries increase was somewhere January this year. That was about 7%. But if you should look at the trend analysis, it shows that the last time they actually had somewhere around 15% was in 2015. Right after 2015, they've never had any increment, which is somewhere close to 2015. At the moment, that's last year, there was a 4% increase, if we could show the trend, a 4% increase, and then this year 7%. So January, which is this year, that was when they had a 7% increase. But generally, if you should look at the trend analysis, it shows a downward trajectory in terms of the increase in public sector workers, their salaries.
Okay.
And so the next slide, which also talks about the increase in salaries. So here we are comparing, public sector workers, probably the president, who is an Article 71 holder.
Okay.
And you can see that over the years, it looks as if the percentage change in terms of the increment is almost the same. But the next slide tells a different story.
So what it means is that for those who are watching us, the red thing there, which we've indicated, right, President, is representing Article 71 holders. Okay.
And the president, actually. Okay. And then we have public sector workers in terms of the rate at which the salaries increase.
Okay.
If you look at it on the face value, you can actually say that it's almost the same. But the next slide, we talks about the value, the kind of disparity between what Article 71 office holders earn and what public sector workers earn is actually huge. Okay. So if you should take a look at an average Article 71 holder, he is earning somewhere around 18,211.
Okay.
And a single span salary structure worker is earning somewhere 1,128 Ghana cedis. So if you should calculate the change, that's somewhere around 17,000. And if you should look at the highest earner on the Article 71 office holders, that's somewhere around 29,899. That was 2016. And this year, the highest is somewhere around 49,000. And so it shows you that there's kind of like a huge difference between what the Article 71 holders are earning and then what those who are on the single spine salary structure are also earning. So if you should look at this, you could see that the least earner in terms of Article 71 holder is even higher than the person who is earning the highest in 2016 in terms of single spine salary structure workers. Now let's look at a scenario. What has been the impact of COVID on these salaries of public sector workers? So we all know that currently inflation is somewhere around 23.6%. So if you should do a quick math, it means that from last year April to this year April, if you were earning somewhere 1,128 Ghana cedis, which is the average salary that an Article single spine salary worker will earn, then it means at least just because of inflation, you've lost somewhere around 266 Ghana cedis.
That's what you've lost.
You've lost.
Okay.
Now let's track this back to 2016. So if you should do an average inflation, that's where somewhere around 10.78%. It means that annually you are losing somewhere around 121 Ghana cedis as a result of inflation, and cumulatively that should be around 486 Ghana cedis. And so it means that inflation has actually eroded 752 Ghana cedis from what Article 71 of his single spine salary structure workers were actually earning. If you should net it, it means that your 1,128 Ghana cedis is somewhere around just 378 Ghana cedis currently.
Because of inflation.
Exactly. Of course, government has done their bits. If you look at the trend, it means every year government has been increasing the salary by somewhere around 8 or 9%. But the math here shows you that what government has increased is not that huge or enough to offset the kind of damage inflation has actually caused on the salaries of these public servants.
Isn't it why the public servants are calling for more? Because your best is not enough.
Exactly.
Like they say.
Exactly. So per the calculation, this is just inflation. We've not even brought in the effect of COVID. So it means that at the moment, your purchasing power has actually reduced. So what you need is now, you need more. Okay. Whether productivity or no productivity, everyone else in the economy at the moment needs more to survive because you have inflation, which is eroding a chunk away. You also have the impact of COVID-19, which is still in the system and people are still recovering. And so, Brace, I think that's actually one of the reasons why public servants are demanding that government actually increase their base salary, probably more than the 7% that we saw on the screen over there.
All right. So that's the breakdown there that Kofi has presented. Meanwhile, government statistician Professor Samuel Kobina-Enim says his assessment of the productivity of public sector workers has been misconstrued. Now, Professor Enim, at an inaugural lecture last week, indicated that the average public sector worker's salary does not merit his productivity output. He has since come under heavy attack for his comment. He has been speaking on the AM show with my colleague Benjamin Akapo on reactions to his lecture.
Thank you very much. I would always hesitate in giving a yes or no response to a question like that. And this is exactly what I sought to do in my lecture. And I'm happy you've touched on X number of variables that one should look at if you are thinking about whether somebody merits a pay or not. So you are looking at it from the cost of living point of view, which is fine. I mean, once cost of living is going up and you need to do some adjustment, Ghana will not be the only country looking at its wages, earnings for public sector amid all the global economic challenges that we have. But the other side of the coin is that can we begin to have the conversation on our productivity and relate that to our output? Anytime we have these conversations only from the financial side, the money side of the economy, without talking about the real sector of the economy, we tend to have challenges. So all that I'm saying is that let's now begin to map our GDP sector-wise, so that once somebody is going in for a bargain for higher salaries, we don't just look at the cost of living side, but look at the productivity side as well.
Right.
So please, can we begin to put some numbers to it? Because at the lecture, I did a very crude calculation and said, if you narrow earnings on hourly basis, it's 7 cedis 95 pesos, 7 Ghana cedis 95 pesos. And the question that I pose is, if, for instance, you invite an artisan to work for you, and the artisan says that I'm charging 100 Ghana cedis for a day, is that consistent with the average hourly earnings that we have as a country? Well, what is the basis for which we do what we do in terms of payment?
And still on public sector workers, it has been a month after the Trades Union Congress, TUC, appealed to President Akufo-Addo to institute a cost of living allowance for all Ghanaian workers. According to the TUC, the COLA will not only cushion workers, but it will also alleviate poverty levels in the country. General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Musa Thomas, in an interview with JoyNews, said despite the worsening conditions of living in the country, the government has not prioritized their demand. He said the situation has created an agitation among their members who are mounting pressure for them to embark on an industrial action and called on the government to act now without delay.
Workers are seriously challenged regarding the issue of water, regarding the issue of food, regarding the issue of clothing, regarding the issue of transportation, regarding the issue of paying their light bills, taking care of their families, and on all the other variables that will enable an individual put himself together. Everything is challenged. And we are calling upon the employer, and particularly the government, to do something about this thing.
You spoke about it on the May Day celebration, where you were asking for government to introduce the cost of living allowance, popularly known as COLA. Are you telling us that there are no conversations around it so far?
There is no conversation, to the best of my knowledge. We've not had any conversation about it. The only thing that is being done now is the issue of the minimum wage. And even that one, it has not yet been concluded. So if the minimum wage has not been concluded, when will the compensation for 2023 be concluded? Because you see, by the Public Financial Management Act 2016, the compensation for each financial year should be completed by April. We have gone past April. We are currently in June. So when will this thing be completed? And then we get it done. And these are the things we are talking about. That there is an uneasy calm. And I repeat, there is an uneasy calm. Because the background where we are coming from is not good. Workers were giving 4% and 7%. Inflation has eroded all the figures that we went to negotiate for. And it is for this reason, and among others, that on 1st May, we articulated the concerns of Ghanaian workers to the President of the Republic.
Are there some push or a level of push from your members for you to stage a demonstration? Because I heard the TUC General Secretary making it unequivocal during the May Day celebration that you'll be left with no other option than to, hit the streets. Are you getting there?
The workers are that's what I'm saying. That's what I use the word uneasy calm. Okay? The workers felt that, look, things are not going the way they expect and all that, but we keep on giving them hope. But in as much as we are giving them hope, we believe that the Ghana National Association of Teachers believe that the time has come that we draw the attention of government to it, particularly because we are dealing with the issues of national security and human security being one of the things that workers, teachers are going through now. We are saying that let us address these issues now in the interest of all of us.
What do you want government to do now?
Yes, the major thing now is that, look, the issue of COLA has come up and the issue of the base pay has come up. Discussion should commence. We should not, without any further delay.
There's still the Joy News desk. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, Daryl will be here with the latest in business.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. The Ghana Free Zones Authority has described the creation of special economic zones as strategic in expansion and diversification of Ghana's economy. This, it believes, will be achieved through the manufacturing of significant products locally that will help reduce imported goods. According to its Chief Executive Officer, Michael Aaron Okwe Jr., such a move is necessary to examine the country's pattern of trade supply chains, amongst others. He spoke to Joy Business at a workshop on the contribution of special economic zones to economic diversification in Africa.
Special economic zones were adopted relatively late in Africa, but they have been gaining considerable traction recently. Today, there are an estimated of 237 established special economic zones in 38 of the 55 African Union member states. Many more are under construction or in the projection stage. According to Chief Executive Officer for the Ghana Free Zones Authority, Michael Okwe Jr., special economic zones will improve intra-trade activities among African countries. He explained that this will help his outfit to strategize and focus on how to set up zones for production.
Well, the role of such special economic zones will be expansion. So, for example, we started on the smaller plate of just free zones. That in itself has attracted an investment of, let's say, about $4 billion. $4 billion. But how can we make that even bigger? Because now with AFTA, there's something called the rules of origin, i.e. local materials. But if you look at our processing areas, most of even the raw materials we have to import. And when we import, we give it to duty free, and then we start to work with customs, immigration, and so on and so forth. So if we are going to get more raw materials, we need to produce more here so that even AFTA can take off in the first place, so that it is Africa for Africa by Africa. So this is why it's very important to have the special economic zones, so that if, for example, you're looking for wood processing to deal with in Africa, you know you go to Gabon. If you're looking for cotton, you know you go to Benin or Togo. This, for example, is being done. If you're looking at cocoa processing, you come to Ghana. Ghana is doing many other things in terms of fruit juice for the European market, if you look at blue skies and so on and so forth.
Country manager for the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, Amelia Santos Paulino, maintained that such initiative is necessary to support the private sector and boost the activities of the African Continental Free Trade Area.
It's part of a project that was developed in cooperation and with the support of the German government through the GIZ. And the objective was to carry on the work that we started in 2019 on trying to understand the landscape of special economic zones and what are the challenges and opportunities. Then in the context of the development and implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, we saw an opportunity to contribute in terms of analyzing what is the context in which SEZ operate, whether they can continue to be a tool for foreign direct investment attraction and for productivity, employment creation, and other benefits for local economy. So jointly with the GIZ and the African Union Secretariat and with the support of the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, we came up with a project and we developed a handbook targeting developing countries, but especially Africa, focusing on Africa and how SEZ can help the process of implementation of the AFCFTA agreement.
Although Ghana has only 4 special economic zones, they account for a considerable share of the country's exports.
Now, the International Finance Corporation has launched the Edge Green Building Challenge for architectural and engineering students as well as professionals in the built environment. According to the Green Building lead at the IFC, Dennis Kwanzaa, this will aid in the discovery of engineering and architecture talents to address climate change-related problems. He spoke to Joy Business at the launch of the competition. Here's more.
The challenge meant to help students is in two strands. The Net Zero Ready Design Competition, which is aimed at getting architecture and engineering students and recent graduates in the built environment to exhibit their understanding of green buildings using the Edge app and utilizing knowledge from the Design for Greater Efficiency course. The DFGE course covers the basics of energy and resources efficiency measures in design from the technical and commercial perspective and seeks to encourage and incentivize resource efficiency in the construction sector. Here is Green Building lead at the International Finance Corporation, Dennis Kwanzaa.
What we identified is that buildings give us a low-hanging fruits for us to tackle climate change. In that, in buildings, there is a lot of energy that is, in there that is wasted. The research is saying that about 80% of energy that is in buildings can be utilized in a more efficient way. So what that tells us is that if we are able to build right, it means that we can ensure that climate change issues are mitigated as much as possible. So that is why IFC has taken upon itself to push green buildings as a way of providing a solution to this. Right. So basically, other issue, people think green buildings are supposed to be some very expensive thing. But then we have come up with a program that allows people to see the most cost-effective ways of going green. Right. How you can reduce your utility bills in terms of energy and water. What measures can you put in your project to ensure that the project doesn't waste energy, it doesn't waste water?
The second strand, the Green Building Awards, is open to professionals who can submit new buildings or retrofits completed in the last 7 years which have come as close to net zero ready as possible, whether certified or not.
And that's business. Sports is coming up next.
And that's all in our package for you today. There's more on myjoyonline.com. My name is Samuel Kojo. Brace to enjoy the rest of your morning.